In this video, we'll discuss particularly liability in tort in case of exactly how and in what extent the state or government is liable in tort or in contract. So, regarding the very liability of state and government in tort, in that context, we will discuss vicarious liability. And as it means, it refers to the liability of the state for the wrongs committed by its servants. It is governed by the principles of public law inherited from English common law, which is based on two maxims. One is Respondent Superior. It means let the principal be liable, and the second principle, Qui facit for alium, facit per se. He who does an act through another does it himself. And these two principles are also falling under the liability of state and government in tort. So, in that context, we will discuss a leading case, that is Duncan versus Finlater, where Lord Brougham explains exactly the concept as the reason that I am liable in this, that by employing him I set the whole thing in motion, and what he does being does for my benefit and under my direction, I am responsible for the consequences of doing it. And in that context, also we'll discuss the very position of state liability in England, where it is that the king or the crown could not be sued in tort, as the very maxim king can do no wrong was prevailing for centuries. But this position was overruled after the enactment of Crown Proceedings Act 1947, and before that in a leading case in Canterbury versus Advocate General, the Speaker of the House of Commons, under Section 2 of the Crown Proceedings Act, did not hold the Crown liable. And as regarding the position in America, now the state and government are liable in tort after enactment of the Federal Tort Claims Act in 1946. And in that context, we will discuss a leading case, United States versus Munich in 1963, after the 1974 amendment to the American Constitution. The USA government is liable for assault, battery, false imprisonment, abuse of process, malicious prosecution committed by law enforcing officers. So also in Delight versus United States in 1953, the state was held liable as regarding the leakage of ammonium nitrate fertilizer gas. So also in state of Assam versus Muhammad Nizamuddin Ahmad in 1999, certain seizure of seeds, and here the state was held liable. So also in the leading case, state of MP versus Santi Bai in 2005, the police firing on striking mob where the state was held liable. So also in Himachal Pradesh State Electricity Board versus Ramnath in 2005, certain loose droppings and the roof touching line of the department causing damages and injury where the state was held liable. So also in Chitrachari versus DDA in 2006, the state was held liable as exactly falling in a trench and sustaining fatal injury was held as the state is liable as the very authority DDA itself is an instrumentality of state. So also in another leading case, Tamil Nadu Electricity Board versus Thangaraju in 2008, so also in Chhattisgarh State Electricity Board versus Srimati Pirasa Bai in 2008 as electrocution due to falling of live electric post or illegal connection by hooking caused damage or injury. So here also the state was held liable. So also in the leading case P. Ramudu versus Superintendent Engineer Andhra Pradesh State Electricity Board in 2009, the very GI were snapped and came in contact with live wire caused damage and injury. So here also the state was held liable in tort. So also in the leading case Malik versus the superintendent engineer CS Madras in 2009, putting live electric wire on one's land to frighten rats, also causing liability in tort. So also in another leading case, Ramjan versus State of Rajasthan in 2008 and Sushila Devi versus Register of High Court of Madhya Pradesh 2009, compensation for unconstitutional deprivation of a fundamental right as under Article 21, under which the state was held liable. So also another most important leading case in that connection is the Oriental Steam Navigation Company versus Secretary of State for India. So it was a pre-independent case where the Supreme Court of Calcutta held the state liable undertone. So, in the Khidirpur dockyard, where the very carriage driven by horse of the plaintiff caused damage and injury, so in that very leading case, Chief Justice Peacock defined states' sovereign function and non-sovereign functions to determine the very liability of the state. So also in another case, Secretary of State versus Hari Banwaji, Madras, and in state of Rajasthan versus Vidyavati in 1962, the driver of the government jeep, and here the state was held liable. So also in Kasturilal versus state of UP, the constable who seized the gold escaped with the gold. But here, Chief Justice Gajendra Gadkar held that the state is not liable in Union of India versus Sugrabai in 1969 as a cyclist was knocked down by the military vehicle, and that military vehicle was carrying the hockey and basketball players. So as it was not a sovereign function of the state, so the state was held liable. And so also in Satyavati versus Union of India in 1967, an Air Force vehicle carrying hockey and basketball teams caused accident, and here the state was also held liable. So, in another case, that is Shyam Sundar versus state of Rajasthan in 1974, the PWD truck carrying famine relief, and as it caused accident, so the very damage or injury caused in that case, the state was held liable as it was not falling under the sovereign function of the state. So also in Rudal Shah versus State of Bihar in 1983, even after acquittal by the trial court, the petitioner was illegally kept for 14 years in jail. So, the state was held liable and a compensation was awarded rupees 30,000 to the petitioner. And also, in another leading case, Khatri versus State of Bihar in 1981, prisoners blinded inside the jail where the state was held liable and compensation was awarded to those prisoners who were blinded in the prison. So also in another leading case, Sehali versus Commissioner of Police in 1990, the death of a child in police custody. Yeah, the state was held liable. So also in Nilavati Behra of Odisha, the same, the accused was died in police custody. So the state was held liable and a compensation was awarded by the court. So also in Kumari versus State of Tamil Nadu in 1992, as uncovered sewage tank caused the death of a child, so the state was held liable and a compensation was awarded So also in People's Union for Democratic Rights versus State of Bihar in 1987, police firing caused death of some people. So the state was held liable and compensation was awarded. So also in another leading case, Ramakant Reddy versus State of Andhra Pradesh, as there was deprivation of life and personal liberty as provided under Article 21. So the state was held liable. So a compensation amount was awarded to the petitioner. So also there are certain theories relating to state liability, such as fault theory, that we'll discuss in our upcoming video.